right. Hey, Dad, how are you?
Good.
We'll try to have this set up better next time.
Yeah.
It's always with technology, you always have to figure everything out.
Yeah, exactly.
I like the painting behind you.
Yeah, that's my portrait that
Yeah.
I'm quite proud of.
So my thought is this is a great way. These videos are a great way to highlight what makes Glaser Construction unique and what makes you stand out, which I'm a little partial, being your daughter,
Right.
that I think that you guys are very unique and should get all the praise and all the jobs
Right.
for being you.
Right.
But I thought it would be a great way to highlight who you are and then what makes you stand out. I think you're great at talking about this stuff. You're a great storyteller. This is very important to you, which to me makes you stand out as a business owner just simply because you don't just do the work. You really love the work and you feel the work, and it's even kind of it's part of your being, really.
Totally.
So I thought you could just give like a brief intro
Sure.
to who you are and to how you started the company, and then we can kind of talk about specifically the topic we have for today about a very important thing, I think, that any homeowner or even
Building owner. Yeah.
building owner would want to know
General
about
contractor. Yeah.
construction. So yeah, so if you just want to talk, if you just want to do a brief introduction.
Sure.
Okay.
Okay. So I always tell the story of my dad because my dad was an electrical engineer and he was amazing at doing he was really good with his hands, and he had all the tools. Like nobody that I knew growing up had the tools that my dad had. He had the workshop, everything was in order, everything was where it belonged. And but more importantly than that even was just the way he worked. He would he died 31 years ago now. And when I was taking care of my mom about 5 years ago, there was a plumbing problem under the sink, and I went to fix it, and I mentioned to her I was surprised because I had remembered my dad fixing it, and I was surprised that it would ever go bad. And she pointed out he had fixed the other side, and I looked at the other side, it was bloody perfect. And then the professional plumber who had fixed the side that I was repairing then, just 5 years ago, did a crappy job. And so that, sure enough, it failed ultimately, and I had to replace it again. So anyway, that's the way he was. He bloody did everything beautifully, and that was his whole driving force. Like, don't put up with crappy work, and do the work right and build things. He didn't even talk about this pride in your work, but that was it. Like, he wouldn't even consider not doing the best possible job. And the purpose was, it was like a built-in efficiency, like, and really like what makes things last and what's sensible, what's financially sensible, what's good for the environment, and like all the way across. And the bottom line, I'm all about that. Like that's just been made a part of who I am. And that's what I love about construction so much, is that I can be a part of that and I can make it work. Um, anyway, the thing of the thing about ecology I wanted to mention is that this building I worked on, it was like a 10-story building downtown. Right now I think it's the Canadian Embassy, as a matter of fact. It's the
When was this? Just to give it, I think
this is
that part.
35 years ago. I worked on this building, and
Okay.
I worked on the penthouse, on a little drive-it portion of the penthouse. Pretty inconsequential portion of this entire building, but I, did the best job I could on that portion of it.
Hmm.
They bulldozed the building and rebuilt it twice since I worked on it 35 years ago. And
Jeez.
it's like, no, that is what the problem is with our society today. We have disposable buildings,
Yes.
and that's not a good attitude. It doesn't help anyone.
Agreed.
Build them correctly. Go to Europe and as you did, and look at the gorgeous buildings they built thousands of years ago that are still gorgeous and
Yeah.
functional. And it's like that is what helps
Yeah.
our ecology, our the world, and so
Right.
anyway, so
Say
that's just
just
tremendously important to me, to who I am,
yeah.
to everything. And besides, it's a pleasure to use something that's nice. It's and like the tools I talked about my dad having, that a building is a tool, like and a tool that's well made is such a satisfying thing, and
Yeah.
it will always be satisfying.
Yeah.
It's just a comfort to use a good tool.
Yeah.
And
Well, we always talk about in our family, or you especially, and I think I get that from you as well. I think all the kids do, but the appreciation for good construction, especially when it comes to a home that you're going to enjoy or a
exactly,
building, I
right,
think we can all appreciate that. And then you're talking about how, they've had to rebuild this building a few times since you worked on it 30 some years ago.
yeah,
And I see that too, and I get frustrated as well with the construction of new homes. It seems that in the past there was more pride in the artistry of construction, of building, of designing a home that is functional, but
yeah,
also one that lasts. And now I feel that buildings, whether they be commercial or residential, it's a lot of times there's a loss of it just seems like there's a loss of the craftsmanship or the pride of
totally.
building something. It's more about throwing it up and having
Yeah,
it be done
right,
to make some money.
yeah,
Whereas it may have taken a lot longer to say build our home, but it lasts a lot longer and the
exactly,
materials are
yeah,
better. So that's
yeah,
what I was gonna say. I think that you carry that through, you always have, into how you live your life and through your business. You've held on to those standards and you haven't let them go. You believe in a good job very well done, and
yeah,
you do not settle for less. And so that's the
absolutely,
number one for what makes Glazer unique, I think. Uh,
yeah, yeah.
absolutely. So
Because and I'm passionate about it in everything I do, like in my clothing, in my bicycles, in my audio equipment.
yeah.
I mean, in my cars, everything.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
So you started your business 38 plus years ago.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. Was the
So and
job
I
would
started in the industry 43 years ago. So
okay. Would you say
yeah.
that your dad's work ethic drove you forward in that and what you wanted to do?
Yeah, I don't call it work ethic. I call it attentiveness, like
Yeah.
attentiveness to quality. That's really what it is. And it literally makes life better for everyone,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
So, but absolutely, that was huge.
Awesome. And did you
Yeah.
recognize that you had those abilities and that you could do it, even though I assume you had a lot to learn at that point?
Oh my
Am I
goodness.
correct?
Yeah, I didn't know squat when I started,
Okay.
but what's interesting is as much as I got my love for quality construction from my dad and craftsmanship, from my mom, I got the confidence that I could do anything. And she was super positive and encouraging. And my dad would always point out the negatives.
Oh,
But my
interesting.
mom she would be like, that's a great idea. It,
Okay.
it could be a
Okay.
terrible idea, but she'd
Yeah.
say, great idea, go
The
for it.
realist meets the dreamer.
Yeah, she
Yeah,
was a
yeah.
total dreamer.
Yeah.
And he was a realist, but like even on the downside, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
yeah.
I understand that. That's an interesting dynamic. They balance each other out though, which is,
Yeah, for sure. For
yeah.
sure.
So you have maybe portions of both of that
Totally.
together
Yeah.
that has helped to propel you forward.
Absolutely.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Um, well, okay, so fast forward 30 plus years, and I was just talking to Caleb, and whoever's watching, Caleb is my brother, and he works in partnership with my dad, who you see on screen. Um, Caleb was telling me something that sticks out about Glaser Construction is the fact that you all have, you'll have to correct me on how you say it specifically, but he mentioned EIFs insurance.
Oh, well, that's huge.
So is
That's
that is it what
yeah.
is the
Let me mention.
terminology for that? If you could just explain it a bit and break it down for the
Sure.
viewer, because this is a very important thing that not a lot of contractors in the EIFS space actually have, and it's a very important element to your business.
Let me pedal back just a hair because I want to mention EFIS insurance is one thing that sets us apart, but that's um, just one of a few things. The first thing is the ownership passion for the work, which you've already alluded to, but through that, through both Caleb and I really truly care for the construction of the building. And we both really care about the people we're working for, which is the building owner, the homeowner, or the general contractor. And that's why we have like long-term relationships going over 30s, 40 years. We're working on a project now with a guy who's the superintendent, and I've literally known him for 43 years.
That's huge.
So
Yeah.
that's the kind of relationships that we have in the company
Relationships
field.
are huge. Yeah.
And it's who we are. It's we want to hook him up. We want to make him so happy that he used us, and he is, and it's awesome. But that's a part of, I would say that's a huge difference about us versus literally everybody else, that we're doing it intentionally. This is what we do, and we're excited to, like, I love doing this, this is awesome. I People ask me about, well, how's your job, what do you, and I always say I have the best job in the world. I was just skiing in Colorado, and I was on the lift with a doctor, and he was telling me, he's like, I was like, well, that sounds like an awesome job. He's a surgeon. And I'm like, well, you're awesome. You get to hook people up and everything. He goes, yeah, but it interferes with my skiing. And I'm like, well, yeah, but don't you enjoy it as much? Like, I love skiing, right? I'm a nut about skiing,
Mhm.
but I love my work too. Like, I love both, And so I like, he couldn't relate to that because he didn't love his work like I love my work.
Mhm.
But maybe, and I don't understand his business or how it works, but Caleb and I, we get to work for ourselves. We get to choose the contracts we accept and the ones we don't. You know what I mean? So we only take the ones that we want. We're not interested in the people who just want to make a quick buck and flip a house or whatever. It's like, yeah, there are plenty of companies that do crap like that. And I don't even care. Doesn't bother me, but it doesn't help the environment, doesn't help really anybody, not even them long term.
Mhm.
Anyway, so that's the primary advantage that we have, is that we really care.
Yeah.
But because of that, I'm personally on every single job that we do
Which
in
is huge as
person.
well. Hmm.
Nobody does that.
No, I
There's
would say the
no other
honor of a,
company where the
yeah.
owner shows up on every job they do.
No,
That
not
doesn't,
after you've been in business for how long you've
no,
been. No.
no, that just doesn't happen. So, and what's amazing is I I notice stuff, there's stuff that could go wrong, like all the time, like as good as, and our guys are the best. They've been with us, I should say now with Caleb, but with us for 25 years. These are crew. Like,
Which I think that says a lot too.
well, the other thing is we want to hook them up too,
Hmm.
right? I mean, this is a Tim, the Oracle, I call him, who's been working with me over the years. He's semi-retired now,
You
but
might have to do a separate section on
for
another.
sure. But he has this quote that I love. A rising tide, and of course he didn't create it, but a rising tide lifts all boats, right? Like
Yeah.
we work together. We're hooking. This helps society. It helps me. It helps Caleb. It helps our, Javi. It helps you. It helps the customer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it helps our employees. It helps literally everyone in the picture. That's the idea. Whereas doing crappy work does the opposite. And people are confused because they think it's a quick buck and it helps them. It really doesn't help them in the long run. So
Yeah.
anyway, so me personally being on the job site is huge. But what I was saying is, as long as our crew has been working with us, they'll still miss stuff sometimes. I mean, everybody does, but I'll catch it. I'll be like, hey, whoa, 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 what about this? And they're like, oh, wow, glad you caught that, or whatever. But that's why I'm there. I'm there to catch stuff. I'm there to help make things work. And it makes a huge difference.
Yeah. You're
I'll
invested.
also notice things sometimes. Sometimes it'll save the owner some money. It's like, hey, wait a minute, we don't need to do this. Look what you could do over here. And my approach is always, what would I do if this was my building or my house? What would I do? And that's what I tell the customers. And then they can make their choice, whatever they want. Anyway, so that would be the number one thing that separates us
Yeah.
is the caring and the personal attention. The personal physical presence stems from the really what I'm all about and why I'm here.
Yeah.
But then the second thing is the insurance. And the insurance now, to talk about that, it's called EIFs insurance,
Okay.
but it's called EIFs insurance for a reason. So in about 25 years ago, there were a bunch of lawsuits. Before that, in the 90s, there were a bunch of lawsuits. But about 25 years ago, they developed what's called the water managed systems, which is a much better deal because what they discovered is windows leak, which I never knew before, like 30 years ago, and that causes water to get into the building, into the house, and it'll rot the wood. And the EIFs looks great, but the house could be all rotted out if you have this old system, or if you have the new system that's installed by somebody who doesn't care or doesn't pay attention. And honestly, most of the companies, I always go off about this, most of our competition, they put the lowest pay guy doing the waterproofing. And it's like, no, this is the most important part of the job, is making sure it's watertight. Nobody sees it, but it's the most important job,
Yeah. Almost like they
Anyway,
have it backwards.
right?
Right.
So the insurance, going back to the insurance though, the insurance companies paid out a lot of money for damaged properties. And now, in fact, a lot of insurance companies don't even cover EIFS homes because they're just paranoid about it. But the bottom line is, it's fine if it's bloody done correctly, but who's going to install it correctly? That's the problem. So the other issue is, it's not just EIFS. Like, any cladding that brick isn't waterproof. In fact, we're working. We have a relationship with Anderson because they have one of the best windows, and so we thought, well, that would be a good group to get in with, and so we do. So we have a relationship with them. We did some EIFs trim that's on a house that has stone. It's a whole stone. It's really stone veneer
Yeah,
stone
yeah, yeah.
cladding over what's OSB, which is, pretend plywood, and made out of little chips of fast growth pine,
Mm.
which absorbs water like a sponge. So we did this, and these people, we did our EIFs, but they have water problem from the stone. And it's like, yeah, because it's built wrong. Like it's built
Right.
like crap. It looks fancy, but it's crap. I mean, the bottom line.
Yeah.
Anyway, getting back to the insurance. So about 25 years ago, many of these, I would say virtually all of the insurance companies, in fact, all the insurance companies for the businesses have an exclusion for their to cover themselves that says you are not covered if you do anything having to do with EIFs.
Mhm.
So what that essentially means is nobody's covered for that work. And this is like a huge untold story that I like, it should be on television or something. It's outrageous because what has to occur for someone to be actually covered is for them to pay ridiculous money, like we do,
Yep.
for this what's called EIFs insurance, which does not have the exclusion. Now, there are only like a couple of companies in the country that carry this coverage, and
Whoa.
it's
That's big.
outrageously expensive.
That's
Okay.
insane.
I'm sorry.
That's insane. Yeah, Caleb was
Yeah.
telling me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and the problem is, and this was like 10 years ago, I was told by our supplier who was very into all the metrics of all of the EIFS industry in the Washington area. He told me at the time there were 300 companies that claimed to do EIFS. Well, my insurance guy is the best in the world. The guy's incredible. And in fact, I'd like to do another special with him,
That'd be great.
because he is amazing. We'll do a Zoom thing with him at
That's
some.
actually a great idea.
He's super sharp. He can really explain it. I've been with this guy forever because he's the best, right? That's
Yeah.
something else I don't understand. Once you find somebody that's the best, why would you use anybody else?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like I wouldn't like. I'm the same way with my cars, with my clothes. Like, no, why would I use anything that's not the best? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
anyway, this guy is amazing. He answers his phone every time I call, and he answers all of my questions completely. But he's the one who told me, he said, Chris, I know all the companies in your area because I have the EIFS coverage and I'm trying to offer it to them. He said, there are only a couple of contractors in the entire Washington area that have actual insurance that's covering EIFS work.
Ooh, which is
Out
insane.
of 300 or more contractors,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. And considering how many commercial buildings do have EIFS
Yeah.
apply
Yeah.
on their buildings, and then to imagine the issues that they run into, and that then there's
Exactly.
no solution as far as it being fixed,
Exactly.
then they have to shell out more money, correct? To have it,
Outrageous, like crazy money. Yeah.
yeah, probably by
Yeah.
somebody else who doesn't have the insurance, and then
Exactly.
the issue can continue. There's no
Yeah.
end to it. So
Exactly.
essentially, Glaser Construction having this is huge when someone is considering who they should hire for their
Well,
project.
what's funny is this is what's amusing to me, that almost all general contractors seem to understand the importance of having the Accord form. So the Accord form is it's a documentation. It's called a certificate of insurance, and it's a documentation showing that this subcontractor has coverage, is insured for the work that they're doing. The problem is, and this is what's frustrating to me, all these companies have Accord forms.
Yeah, but
Because you can get that kind of insurance for like $1,000 a year or something. But it's
okay.
meaningless because it has an exclusion for anything having to do with EIFs. And that's what's frustrating is it's all BS. Like
It's
they're
tricky. It's a trick.
yeah,
Trick
yeah,
to make someone feel better.
completely. Yeah,
False trust placed in the just because
exactly.
they show a piece of paper. Right.
Yeah.
I see. Okay. So you're able to actually, do you clarify this when you're bidding, or what does that
Well,
process look
what's funny is most of our work is from what homeowners don't seem to even understand about all this. And they like it's almost too much for them to go
like?
into that down that whole
Well,
rabbit hole.
okay, then let's say this then. How would you simplify, just because a homeowner is not going to know all the jargon, construction jargon, et cetera, how would you simplify in explaining, oh, hold on. Jay just got hurt.
Uh,
Daddy's got him. That's with him. How would you explain it to a residential owner, this whole entire thing, the EIFS insurance? Just break it down like really simply as to
I
why.
guess the bottom line is simple. It's that we actually have insurance and almost no one does. The problem is it's hard for a regular homeowner to believe that because they don't understand. They don't understand the technicalities of the Accord form, the COI that doesn't go into the detail of exclusions. There are literally 100 pages
Okay.
that make up the entire contract with the insurance company,
Yeah.
and including exclusions. And
Okay.
so the exclusion, sometimes a savvy general contractor will request the entire document showing with all 100 pages, right?
Huh.
But it's rare. But the companies that we work with, in the bigger general contractors, Davis, Harvey Cleary, or whomever, they know us. They know we've already been through this. I've
Yes.
explained it
Yes.
to they have specific insurance people who are
Yeah.
savvy enough to get this. And then I'm like, oh, you talk to my insurance dude, and they're like, oh my gosh, he's amazing. I'm like, right.
Yeah.
So
That's great.
that's the way it works. But
Okay.
for a regular homeowner, it's simple. The bottom line is we're covered. We're covered. We actually have the coverage.
Okay. So say a homeowner runs into an issue with the EIFS on their home. There's damage. Have you run into this? One, two, what then are you able to do in that situation?
So what the insurance covers is literally everything having to do with that project, with the
Okay.
work of that project.
Anything that you did.
Anything that we did,
Okay.
including, I mean, it covers everything. So for instance, if an unscrupulous contractor with a pretend Accord form that looks like they have insurance, but really they don't have EIFS insurance,
Right.
um, that and then they didn't install the waterproofing correctly because they have their lowest paid guy slopping on the waterproofing. They don't have any owner of the company who really cares about it double checking, and they miss stuff. and there could be a missed flashing, kick out flashing or something, and water gets into the house, it could rot out their house. One, two, it could foster mildew growth. There could be lung problems with the people who live there. I mean, these
Yeah.
things have happened. And so and then when they realize, it's like years later when they realize that, but when they try to go back 10 years later to this unscrupulous contractor, he's probably out of business anyway, or but it doesn't matter because he didn't have the coverage.
Right.
And the bottom line is there's nobody to get to pay for it.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line.
Yeah. Okay. So homeowner would be able to cut. What are the particulars on that? Would a homeowner be able to come back to you in 5 to 10 years once they realize there's an issue?
Oh, absolutely. If
Okay.
if
Oh,
there was anything wrong with the way with the problem with the work that we did, and it was a problem, and they could show that there was an issue with it or something, absolutely. That's one of the things the insurance is for, you
so
know.
there's no time period or window of time.
So so it depends. And again, so it's different specifically on the type of insurance. And we have it's so complicated. We have so many insurances and it's even specific projects have extra insurance for added indemnity or whatever. And I don't even understand what it means. All I know is I tell my dude, I want the best insurance we got. Hook us up and you cover our customers so that they're good. And he's the one who knows about it, and he'll be able to explain better when we interview him, and we can ask him more details. It should be like a three-way thing so I can
That'd
push
be,
him on that too, because I really don't even understand how it all works.
yeah,
But
I'd love to hear more, and I'm
yeah,
sure other people would love to as well. So
yeah,
that's great. That's cool. We could
yeah.
ask him some more on the particulars, but essentially, you gave a very good, example ideas for anyone watching on why Glaser Construction stands out. And I think all those things really just equal trust. Trust in you, trust in the company, because not only your aim is to provide a high quality product because you really care about it. You also care about the individual for whom you're providing the service for, as well as your employees. And
Absolutely.
that's insane. And I think that you having the insurance just wraps that all up with a bow because it's like, look, like I'm putting my money where my mouth is, and I really do care. And I care so much that this is what we're providing to ensure
Exactly.
that everybody is covered, taken care of, and you get the work that you want.
Yeah, it really comes down to earlier at the beginning of this, I said that my thought is always, what would I do if this was my house, right? The same thing is true for my employees. What would I do if that was me? What would I want as an employee? I'd want to have the best wages in the industry. I'd want to make more money than my equals in other companies, right? Because I want to work for the best company. I want to be treated with respect, and it's the same thing with the owner. What would I want? I want a house that's built right, but even though it's built right, yeah, I want good insurance on that. You know what I mean? That's the bottom line.
Yeah. That's really cool. That's really cool. I enjoy talking about this stuff with you. It's very
Well,
interesting.
likewise.
Because obviously I grew up with you. You raised me. And you instilled a lot of these qualities into me. You talking about your dad, it was interesting because I hadn't considered that obviously a lot of it came from him and then through you to me because I had the same mindset. It's like, if you're going to do something, why would you do it half-ass? Like,
Exactly.
take a minute and think it through and then do it the right way from the beginning,
Yeah.
like that frustrates me as well too. Like if I see somebody doing something and they're just not really thinking it through and wanting to do a good job, like there's such importance not only for the end product but also for you as the person to be able to know that you did it the right way. That the best that you could do, that you could put forward into no matter what you're doing. That's a quality.
Life is more fun that way too. Yeah. You know what I mean? Would you rather do a great job at what you do, or would you rather be mediocre? You know what I mean? It's like, yeah. I mean, I have a dance class tonight, and it's one of the dance teachers' birthdays, and it's just like, it's so cool. It's like life just gets better and better the older I get. But part of the reason is because of the people and the relationships. That's the heart of it, really. Yeah. Because I love people, and I love throwing myself into everything that I do. So. Yeah.
Well, that's phenomenal. I think it's an amazing personality characteristic to have, and I think why you've been able to be in business for as long as you have, because of your relationships, and people trust you, they like you. Caleb as well. I think it's a great partnership.
It was amazing.
Yeah. I think it's cool. I like even just having a little part of it to work in the family business.
Yeah, that's cool.
This has been a great conversation, Dad.
All right, Camille.
We'll have to do more.
Indeed.
I think people will really appreciate this.
Cool.
Watching it, and let me stop the recording.